Kenny was a great athlete. It was really a unique situation that at that time frame, which was in the early 80s, to have a 6'7.5" tight end and then a 6'6" tackle, Clyde Simmons, right beside him. So he lined up right beside Clyde, and Kenny was an outstanding athlete, probably 3 sports. I know they played football and basketball, and he piddled in track some.
Kenney was one of those athletes that I think had a lot of natural ability, and I think Kenney could have done well in most any sport that he would have chosen to play. He chose to play basketball, but he could have been a good athlete in any sport, baseball or football or whatever.
I can remember just being furious with Kenney when he decided to go basketball, because he had Notre Dame, so he probably had 25 major college offers in football, and you know, at that time a 6'7" tight end was huge, and you know, he wasn't tremendously big, and I would imagine he was somewhere in that 220 to 225 range, but had great hands and was, you know, very, very good. And he always told me he'd make it in basketball, so you know, he played what, 10 or 11 years in the NBA, so he proved me wrong.
I think he always had the knack of being at the right place at the right time. Whether it was his man, he could go over and block a shot or block off the board or get the pass out to. That's a big advantage to have that little sense. I guess it's 8th or 9th sense that you have, you know, and consequently he excelled.
Went head to head with Jordan and the Laney bunch, and they beat us 3 times his senior year, the Christmas tournament and the home and home, and we knocked them out in the regional playoffs and going for the state championship. But Kenny was just a real hard worker, a very, very good kid. Actually, probably was the 3rd best player on his high school team. It ended up being the all-time rebounder for ODU and played 10 or 11 years, like I said, in the NBA. And if he wouldn't have had the injury, he probably would have played a few more years.
Naturally, I think that since he was a big young and he knew how to use what he had, I think that really gave him a tremendous advantage over the average athlete. And needless to say, if you're big and strong and can maneuver, that's a big step in the right direction.
I think the love of basketball. He just knew in his heart that I think he could make it, and he was going to prove everybody wrong. And but very, very smart player. You know, rugged. Kenny grew up tough. Got a great mom. They did a wonderful job of raising him. But he was very bright too. You know, Kenny and Clyde both were B+ students, so they had opportunities. They took care of their grades and you know, handled themselves very, very nice.
And he was one of those kids that worked hard and had a good attitude and was willing to listen. You know, that's a big attribute that a lot of kids don't have, is willing to listen, you know.
Well, he was always a leader, you know, very quiet. That bunch as a whole was, they were more doers than they were screamers or hollers and anything like that. Very laid back, great personality, and just a leader. You could count on him when it got tough, you know, he was going to be there.
And of course, you know, since I didn't really have the opportunity to coach Kenny, I sure would have liked to have had him.
Plus, he's always come back and put something back in the program, and I'm very proud of Kenny. Well, I think Kenny would be a great coach at the next, you know, he's already demonstrated that. And I don't know if we had anything to do with it or not, but he just his handling of people, he has a way.
But like I told you, at most anything that he would really put his mind to, I think he could do well in.
But Kenny's just a real solid person. I'm very surprised that he's not back into coaching or, you know, has gotten a head job right now, because he's been with some great people. He was with John Calipari, I know, for a while, and you know, he's bounced around. So his time will come. I'm hoping he'll get a break, and I was surprised he wasn't in the front office somewhere. He's that kind of, you know, he has that kind of way about him and carries himself very well.